We created actors group or actors community. So whenever we talk about acting, if you are an experienced professional, and what is my audience, who is my intended audience, if you are aspiring to be a great actor, then you are my audience. If you are coming here to spend some time with bullshit, you are not my audience. And don't expect to become my audience. But experienced professionals who have been in acting for a long time, and they respect acting as a discipline, they respect acting as a profession. For example, one thing, if I use the word acting, or if I use the word actor, we don't take it lightly. We respect the profession, we respect the process behind it. Maybe you have done a lot of movies in your life, maybe you haven't done, but you are an actor. You have that acting potential within you, right? Sometimes because of the ecosystem, because of the situation, because of the environment, great actors don't get the chance. And there is a lot of things like lobbying, competition, lobbying, politics, and all these things are there. But keeping all these things aside, what I am talking about is the craft and art of acting, the technique of acting. There is a technique, there is a science, and there is art, aesthetics, philosophy of acting, all these things we are talking about. Now, for all my life, whenever I talk about acting, I know that there is a pursuit we can take. The pursuit to become a greater actor, and it's a never-ending process. Like, you can be always better, you can be always give a better performance. Maybe this movie is bringing a new opportunity, this director is bringing a new opportunity, and you are getting the role of your life. You are getting an opportunity to play that part. Maybe that part was inside you as a human being, but you never got a chance to show that. So what are we doing? Words, actions, gestures, emotions, we are channelizing all these things. We are channelizing our emotions to give gestures, actions, writing great words. Sometimes we are improvising, writers are writing words. When actors are totally into it, they are also feeling the characters, the situation, the conflicts, that dramatic tension, if I say so. And they are coming up with that improvisation. And that's a big part of acting, because when you are a great actor, filmmaking, as I always say, it's a collaborative process. So whenever we are making a film together, we all can play a part. Each one is bringing one's contribution, at whichever point of time it is, during the shoot, after the shoot, before the shoot, whatever it is. I have discussed all these things, so I won't go into the details. But no matter how much I discuss, if you are an experienced professional, if you are like a great actor, one of the world's greatest actors, one of the world's best actors, if you are like that, you can relate to it. Because you have gone through that process, you have gone through that study if needed, you have gone through that experience of making films, dealing with the actors, dealing with the situation, acting, the study of acting, the experience of acting, and bringing the best out of an actor. You have selected that person is supposed to play that part, and you are bringing the best performance. So that's why whenever we have a relationship between an actor and a director, it's a great relationship. Sometimes people say a relationship between an actress and a director is a great relationship, and it's really a great relationship, because a director can guide, advise, nurture in so many ways. So an actor can learn so much, about life, about that particular role, about that particular part. So that's a great discussion. We used to have that, we still have that. And these things will never become obsolete. Now, for all my life, whenever I have talked about acting, whenever I have talked about directing, naturally or normally I talk about these things. The exception part I don't mention much, but for a while I mention because of certain exceptions or certain situations you might face in life. Because when you are dedicated into this cinematic world, words, that cinematic language, camera, everything related to cinema, when you are totally dedicated in this cinematic world, what happens is when somebody is using those words, you think, sometimes naturally we think that that person knows a lot, maybe about camera, maybe about acting, maybe about filmmaking. We assume things. Sometimes it is not the scenario, right? So sometimes it is more like a motivational speech people are giving you from a distance, but it is much more than that. When you are totally into acting, you know how to make use of those things, right? So many people will talk about motivational speeches, but whenever it comes to acting, sometimes you cannot relate those two things. And when you can relate, when you have applied it, when you can still apply it in a different situation, in a different context, in a different way, you will understand that we can learn so much from life, we can learn so much from people, and we can utilize that thing in a particular film or in life, in our relationships sometimes. Because flirting is not for everyone. I have understood that. Now there are cultural differences, but flirting is not for everyone. In some cultures, they won't even understand flirting. It's a sad thing, of course it is, because people who haven't done, a lot of relationships or flirting or dating, or that relationship tension, or the dance, or that art of relationships, when they don't understand it, the more you talk, the more you argue, it's like a lot of words, getting wasted, a lot of arguments, nonsense arguments getting wasted. A lot of emotions getting wasted, because those emotions sometimes don't mean anything. So that's a part of life too. In other cultures, maybe that's a part of life, because they are, at least whenever they are feeling sad, they are being genuine about it. When they are going through a catharsis, they are being genuine about it. When they are being happy, they are being genuine about it. So then you write, then you act, then you give a performance. All these things are there. All these things are there. You put it into words, you put it into your performances, and we don't need to talk about those things separately, because all these things are related. When you are totally into it, you can relate to it. But for people who don't understand it, for those people, no matter how much you try to explain, no matter how much you try to mention, they won't get it. So sometimes we make fun, we use a lot of humor, we use a lot of wit. That's really good, because humor, wit, all these things are really important. As a human being, for your own well-being, for your own relationships, humor is a great thing. And so when you actually live life in a great way, you understand that we have all these emotions. Spectrum of emotions, a gamut of emotions we have, and then we can create art from that, right? We are experiencing the nuances of relationships. That's a great thing to have, the nuances of relationship. And filmmaking is a lot about that, relationships, situations, relationships, how you act, how you react. How you transform, over time, your decisions and people you meet, and so many other things, if you talk about cinema. So people who don't take acting seriously, they will go for shortcuts. Now, seriously means, when I talk about seriously, that means you love acting. When I talk about seriously, it is not like you are a geek, you are studying acting all the time, you are not doing any other thing. I'm not talking about that. When I talk about seriously, let me be very clear about it. It means that natural thing, you are very, you love acting. In short, you love acting. Now, whatever is required for acting, you want to have, your experiences that will nurture you as an actor. You want to read books. Sometimes you want to write books. That will nurture you as an actor, because everything will play its part, now when we talk about acting in our actors group, people who have gone through that, they already understand. Now it's again working with a great director, working with a great script, a great opportunity where they can excel, where they can express themselves, where they can give their performances. But sometimes, apart from that professional aspects, you need a support group or a community where you can nurture other actors. We can talk about acting with other people. We can talk about life with other people. We can talk about philosophy with other people. That person is doing a different kind of role. You are doing a different kind of role. But we can talk about life. We can talk about situations. We can talk about how we went through that role, how you practiced for that role, how you figured out your own process for that role, how you wanted to have that role. We can have that. So there are different kinds of people too. Some people want to have a community where they can talk, where they can help each other out. They can discuss a lot. They can learn from each other. They can discuss acting. They can discuss different processes. They can discuss different techniques. They can learn from each other different techniques. They can learn and they can apply those things in their perspective, respective roles. They can do that. And sometimes some people are isolated people, they prefer solitude. Whenever they are into a particular project, whenever they are making a film, and sometimes people when they are not making a film, it depends, they prefer solitude. They prefer that isolation, and during that isolation they are actually preparing a lot. Sometimes the directors don't want to disturb that person because they know that person is going to come up with something really great. Professionalism, if you call it, loving acting, if you call it, but they are loving their job, they are loving their profession. It's much more than a job, just a job. So that's why this profession of acting, this profession of filmmaking is one of the greatest professions of the world, And you can bring so much into this profession because you love things, you love people, you love humanity, you love acting, you love your experiences, and you get a chance, to play that part, to act in that role, to write something, to improvise, to shoot, to edit. You can experience it in so many different ways, right? So, an actor, it's a great thing to be an actor. Sometimes even when you are not doing a particular work, or maybe you are not making a film, just being an actor can give you a lot of happiness. You are an actor. You have made yourself an actor, or maybe somebody helped you. You have made yourself an actor, That one thing can make you happy. Then you can find a movie, you can write a movie yourself, you can direct a movie. And to become a director, you need to know a lot about acting too. You need to read, you need to understand things, and you need to direct the actors, you need to know about acting, humanity, people, So you can do all those things. Some people can do all these things, but some people want to become director because that is their favorite role, that is their favorite part. But you will understand while working with a director, they know so much about acting, and they have to know, otherwise how can they direct you, right? So an actor, you find a lot of people. We can call them friends, we can call them colleagues, we can call them professionals, but we are, having a common thread, acting, humanity. So, this acting, being an actor is a great thing in this world. Being a director is a great thing in this world. And people who don't understand it, they can criticize a lot. Some people won't understand it, and as I mentioned, it is not for everyone. But people who can aspire to become great directors or actors, they can learn so much from it. Right? So, the way you can deal with it is, if you are aspiring to be an actor or a director or a filmmaker, what you can do is, whatever I am saying, you ask yourself a lot of questions. You ask yourself a lot of questions, you read a lot of books, or you go out in the streets and you look at people, and you figure out things on your own. You will have a lot of ideas of stories. One incident will give you a lot of ideas of a scene, of a story. Write them down, So journaling helps while you are an actor. Again, it depends, for one person journaling can help, for another person maybe journaling is not the way. They are trying to absorb a lot of things while they are, being in the moment. So, but either way, you are nourishing yourself as an actor, as a human being. So this profession of acting, it is not existing in a vacuum. Right? We are living life, we are discussing, we are having interactions, we are enjoying performances, we are enjoying other performances, opera, other dramatic performances, a play. We are enjoying everything. We can enjoy each and everything, and there is no harm in that. People who are already experienced, they know that there is no harm in that. We can learn from each and everything. This is the thing you should not do, this is the thing you should do. We are not talking about that. Here we are open to experiences, I think I have mentioned it before, but again, before starting this, we can enjoy so much from performances. We can watch a play and that play can become a movie. Sometimes you are going to watch a play, you will suggest a director that play can be made into a movie. That's why we have our networks, networks of artists, networks of directors and actors. We can tell each other, we can make a movie based on that. What about writing a script based on that? I can play a role, I can be a part of that. And you will see that we are not omitting the commercial aspects. Many people will criticize, what is the commercial aspect? Obviously, we are talking about cinema and we cannot ignore the commercial aspects. But people can relate to those stories. People can relate to those stories, people can relate to those performances, great storytelling, and you will understand people will flock together to the cinema theaters. Right? So, sometimes some actors are only based on, acting and marketing and all these things. Even more than acting, they want to market themselves. There are people like that. But when you do acting, whether you give it to someone else for the marketing or you do the marketing yourself, you can do a lot, because when you have gone through those roles, you can actually convey to people what you want to market, what will be your value proposition, how you want to place the offering in the marketplace, So you can help in all these aspects too. But sometimes what happens is we are focused too much on the work, on the profession of acting. We are not thinking about other things. Other people are much more experienced and they are taking part of that. They are, well adept doing that marketing and doing that distribution, doing that job or profession or whatever you call it. but we can always share opinions. We can do that. But if it is only about marketing, and we are not focusing on the acting, that is not we are talking about here. At least in the actors group, we are not talking about that. That whatever you do and you just throw it away in terms of marketing, we are not talking about that. Storytelling is there, you respect the performances, you respect the acting, so that is there. And entertainment, we are providing a lot of entertainment to you, so that is there obviously. But when you have a big spectrum, that when this role is requiring that much, when it is supposed to give mass entertainment or provide mass entertainment, you can deal with that role accordingly. When you know that we need to focus on our artistic repertoire a bit more, then you know that we can work on that and we can give that performance based on that, and the director will help. So it is not only you but the director. But when you know all these things, when you know these basics, or when you know all these things, what happens is you can have more nurturing, nourishing conversations with people, with directors, between directors and actors, especially between directors and actors. You can have great discussions, you will ask great questions, and the directors will be willing to give you those answers, exploration together, and we can have a lot of fun together, entertainment and fun. Great stars were born in this way, because of these discussions, because of these things. Or great actors, not stars, great actors were born this way, due to these discussions. And now there are many things regarding this, but acting, it's one of the greatest professions in the world. If you really love acting, you can do a lot. And here we are talking about the craft, aesthetics and all these things, so we won't go that direction. Rather, we will stick to the techniques of acting and all these things. But criticism will be there. And a lot of it is invisible. That is a great thing, because when you give a great performance, sometimes when you as an audience, editing used to be called an invisible art, and it still is, because when you are drawn towards editing or cuts, then it is not a good editing. But if you don't know where the cuts happen and that flow of storytelling, that smooth stream of storytelling went on, then you are engrossed in that performance or that storytelling experience. So similarly, a bad acting can draw a lot of attention to yourself, as an audience. You can understand that. But when you are helping the storytelling, when you are doing great acting, helping the storytelling, when you are bringing something more to that role, you will see that people will get drawn towards those roles. And you don't have to do a single thing. You will focus on your performance. The director will do the job, the editor will do the job, the cinematographer will do the job, and sometimes it will happen. There will be decisions taken, but it will happen. Cinema will happen. So